And we're back. Did anybody miss me? It's been 24 hours since we have done a Facebook Live, and tonight is Late Night Crypto Talk with Brandon Ivey. We're going to get started in just a couple of moments. I need to do as always and get this set up with my other groups. And if somebody knows, let me know how there's a way. If I do one live, I can automatically attach it to all of my groups rather than having to go one by one and move it on over to them. So let's go ahead and get this set up. Hope you guys are enjoying your Saturday evening, your weekend. This has been a very good day, 24 hours for us. I love Bitcoin. Can you say that? I love Bitcoin. I love what this industry is doing for us. Sharing another group. This is my Power Team group. So we're going to get started in just another second here. Welcome. This is Late Night Crypto Talk. Bitcoin Brandon here. Lovely Saturday evening. I'm in Los Angeles, California, so it is 6:54 p.m. my time. That means it's going on 10 p.m. East Coast time. We are going to cover 3 articles tonight. It's going to be the topic. We're going to cover 3 articles. And it's going to deal with the banking world. The ones who feel most threatened by Bitcoin. So we're going to deal with those 3 articles in a second here. But welcome aboard. Welcome. I'm very glad to be here. I'm in a very good mood. Hope you guys are. I made more money in the last 24 hours than most people do in a month on their job. And I don't say that to brag. I say that to state that Bitcoin is phenomenal. If you know what you're doing, if you're plugged into the right opportunities, if you're investing your money the right way. Good evening, Mr. Ross. Can you guys hear me? I've got Joe that says there's no sound. So if you guys can hear me, please give me a like or a thumbs up or type it in the chat box that you can hear me clearly. Joe says that there's no sound. All right, so that's just Joe. I think he had that problem yesterday as well. All right, Ron can hear me, all good. So let's talk about the topic. Bitcoin is more than a fad. Bitcoin is more than a fad. Who said that? You know, because if we go back the last couple of weeks, we've had Jamie Dimon, who is the CEO of JP Morgan, who called it a fraud. Jamie Dimon called it a fraud. Then you had the Wolf of Wall Street, who also called it a fraud. But another banking CEO is doing the opposite. He's calling it is more than a fad. And he is Morgan Stanley CEO James Gorman. And I will put the link to this article in the chat box here so that you can follow along with me if you choose. Or you can just sit back and listen. So let's go over what this article is talking about here. Bitcoin more than a fad that isn't inherently bad. Morgan Stanley CEO James Gorman. One of Wall Street's most influential bankers does not believe Bitcoin should be illegal, while adding that the cryptocurrency is more than just a fad. Morgan Stanley CEO James Gorman was speaking at the Wall Street Journal Future of Finance. It's an event when an audience member sought his opinions on cryptocurrencies. He said, "It's a fascinating development. That's certainly something more than just a fad. The concept of anonymous currency is a very interesting concept. Interesting for the privacy protections it gives people. Interesting because what does it say to the central banking system about controlling that?" Contrary to some of his Wall Street counterparts, Gorman's comments on cryptocurrency struck a measured tone. The banking executive gave equal footing to both cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and the banking sector, both of which are ultimately under the purview of governments, according to him. That's a red flag right there. red flag right there. The banking sector is under the purview of governments. Cryptocurrencies is not. So either he made a false statement here or he just doesn't know. The whole purpose of Bitcoin is that it is direct peer-to-peer transaction that does not have to go through any other entity. There is no CEO, there is no company, there is no corporation, there is no regulation on it. Hey, I see Hilma's on all the way from the UK. Now, I know it's late for you, Hilma. I know it's late. What is it, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. for you over there? Welcome. So he goes on to say, none of us operate in isolation from the ecosystem in which we live. If banks behave badly, the government says raise more capital. We say, gee, that makes us less profitable. They say that is now your problem. If a currency is operating that is enabling people to transfer money anonymously, a government can say, we are not going to allow that anymore. So there is a government risk factor to it. Again, he's wrong there. If a currency is operating that is enabling people to transfer money anonymously, the government can't stop it. Bill Gates already said Bitcoin cannot be stopped. When asked by the moderator if Bitcoin should be illegal, Gorman replied, no, I don't. Gorman further revealed that while he wasn't personally invested in Bitcoin, I highly doubt that. Extremely doubt that. He has met a number of people who are investors in the cryptocurrency market. I haven't invested in this. I've talked to a lot of people who have. It's obviously highly speculative, but it's not something that's inherently bad. It's a natural consequence of blockchain technology as I understand it. Okay, let me stop right there. This is, well, it's almost over. Let me finish reading this. Gorman's stance on cryptocurrencies in market contrast to those offered by JP Morgan chief executive Jamie Dimon, who recently stated that Bitcoin is a fraud that is worth nothing. Okay, here we have the CEO of Morgan Stanley, who is kind of acting like he doesn't know that much about cryptocurrency. He does at least say it's not a fad. He does believe that it should be legal, but he says that it's going to be regulated by the government, and that he hasn't invested in it. Here's why I call BS on that. I call BS. His counterpart, Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, called Bitcoin a fraud and a scam and said he would fire any of his employees trading in the market. And then the very next week when it dipped, his organization and his traders bought millions and millions of dollars of worth of Bitcoin and Bitcoin assets that ultimately in the next 10 years or so is going to be worth billions of dollars. JP Morgan has applied 175 times for blockchain technology patents. Bank of America already owns 22 patents. There is no way all of this is happening and the CEO of Morgan Stanley has no idea what's going on. I call bullshit on that. Another example of some form of market manipulation. These guys never say anything public without putting thought behind what they're about to say, because they know saying the wrong thing can manipulate and have an impact on their market and their investors. They're very careful what they say, like politicians. Very careful about what you say. Almost all politicians, our president isn't, but very careful. So anything he says right here is calculated. I always want to look at what is the motive behind what he's saying. All right, let's look at another article. This one actually is a couple of days old. I've been saving it. I've never had a chance to get around to doing a video on it. But it says the president of European Central Bank says not within our power to prohibit or regulate Bitcoin. Okay, this is going in direct opposition to what the Stanley Morgan CEO just said. He believes that the government is going to regulate it or block it some kind of way. Here we got the president of the European Bank says it's not within our power to prohibit it, meaning stop it, or regulate Bitcoin. Now this one's gonna be interesting. Let me put the link of this article also in the chat box. And for those of you that's joining us late, you're gonna want to go back to the beginning so that you can hear from the beginning later on. All right, so let's go back to that article. The president of the European Central Bank, I'll just call it the ECB, Mario Draghi, has stated that the Bitcoin does not fall under the regulatory powers of the ECB. The statement was made in response to a question from the Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs of the European Parliament. It would not be within our power to prohibit or regulate Bitcoin, Mario Draghi says. He made the statement following a question from the European Parliament's Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs regarding whether or not the ECB plans to develop a regulatory apparatus pertaining to Bitcoin and what risks cryptocurrencies may pose to the European economy. According to a Google translation of a story posted by unews.it, Draghi stated that after consideration, the magnitude, user acceptance, and impact on the real economy of Bitcoin, it would be very premature to consider it as a payment instrument for the future. The ECB president stated that the ECB has not yet had a discussion regarding the topic, adding that it would not be within our power to prohibit or regulate Bitcoin. Draghi also expressed the ECB's intention to assess the cyber risk associated with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. It's my father. You have to wait there. Christopher.
Yes.
Call pop up on his phone. Let him know I'm on a meeting right now.
Okay.
All right. According to a Google translation of a story posted, Draghi stated that after further consideration, the magnitude, user acceptance, and impact on the real economy of Bitcoin, it would be very premature to consider it as a payment instrument for the future. The ECB president stated that the ECB has not yet had a discussion regarding the topic, adding that it would not be within our power to prohibit or regulate Bitcoin. Draghi also expressed the ECB's intention to assess the cyber risks associated with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Draghi's statements echo those made regarding blockchain technology during an event at Trinity College in Dublin. During a youth dialogue event at Trinity College in Dublin, the ECB president answered a question on whether new technologies, specifically blockchain, have a role in monetary policy in the future. Draghi responded, "We at the ECB are looking into this, and we have now been looking at it for some time. One conclusion is that at this point in time, the technology is not mature enough yet to be considered in either central bank policy making or in the payment system. We have to look at what progress this technology will make in the future." At both events, the ECB president emphasized the European Central Bank's desire to assess the cyber risk associated with new technologies. Now, that's the whole point of blockchain. There is no cyber risk there because the blockchain can't be hacked. To hack the blockchain, you're going to have to shut down the entire internet. That's not going to happen. At Trinity College in Dublin, Draghi described cyber risk as the dominant issue today. Well, John McAfee's been talking about that. In the realm of digitalization, he added that any innovation like blockchain will be screened from the viewpoint of how much our exposure to cyber risk is going to go up because we embrace new technology. The ECB president recently rejected Estonia's plans. Now, if you don't know, Estonia is a country in Eastern Europe, and Estonia was the first country to say that they are coming out with their own coin. So he's rejecting Estonia's plan to launch a state-backed national cryptocurrency, stating that under EU law, no member state can introduce its own currency. The currency of the Eurozone is the euro. Earlier this week, ECB Vice President Vitor Constancio compared Bitcoin to the tulip mania. Why do they keep doing this? That swept across the Netherlands during the 17th century. Is that what you're doing? You're going back 400 years to try to discredit Bitcoin? Constancio also dismissed the suggestion that Bitcoin poses a threat to Europe's financial sector, stating that Bitcoin is certainly not a currency, and we don't see it as a threat to central bank policy. You know who also said that? Blockbuster said the same thing about Netflix. They're not a threat to us. We don't need to pay attention to them. Yeah, look at them now. All right, that's one article about a bank. Now I'm going to read the last article. This just came out within the last couple of hours. And it is from IMF chief. Lagarde tells central bankers not wise to dismiss virtual currencies. And what did this guy just do? This guy, what did he just say? Constancio. He's the vice president of the European Central Bank. He says, we don't see it as a threat. Well, the IMF chief says it's not wise to dismiss virtual currencies. Now, I will put the link to this article, and this is the last article that we will cover tonight, in the chat box. So what does she have to say? Christine Lagarde, head of the IMF, warns central bankers that Bitcoin is rising. She has told them not to discount digital currencies because they are gaining more adoption and traction. Lagarde addressed this issue on a conference Friday in London. She said digital currencies might give existing currencies a run for their money. An ABC News article quoted her, in many ways, virtual currencies might just give existing currencies and monetary policy a run for their money. The best response by central bankers is to continue running effective monetary policy while being open to fresh ideas and new demands as economies evolve. Digital currencies are still in their infancy. You see that? Those of you guys who think you might have missed out on Bitcoin, it's still at its infancy. It's still at the formulation phase. Lagarde went on to say that digital currencies will not replace the current currencies anytime soon. She believes Bitcoin is still too volatile, and this is why many institutional investors are still waiting on the sidelines. However, the time will come when they decide to jump in. Right now, Bitcoin is at 4,000, is at $4,300, $4,318. The big boys are sitting on the sidelines watching. When they jump in, this is, even Jamie Dimon said, oh, I think that Bitcoin's going to get worth $100,000 per coin. Even he said that. The price and value of Bitcoin is going to skyrocket. I predict that happening in 2018. It's going to skyrocket. You're still early enough in the game. So, here's what she has to say about that. For now, Lagarde said digital currencies are unlikely to replace traditional ones as they are too volatile, too risky, too energy intensive, and because the underlying technologies are not yet scalable. She also mentioned that high-profile cases of exchange hacks, like the Mt. Gox debacle, has caused mainstream investors to be wary of big investments into the space. I kind of remember investors saying the same thing about Amazon like in 1999. Steve Bezos now is what, second richest man in the world? Nonetheless, Lagarde said there will be inevitably and undoubtedly be more technical innovation. These digital currencies will continue to grow and thrive. She said just like the internet, cryptocurrencies will scale and quickly slither their way into the mainstream consciousness. In other words, central bankers should not ignore the technology or underestimate it. The ABC News article quoted her. Not so long ago, some experts argued that personal computers would never be adopted and that tablets would only be used as expensive coffee trays. So I think it might not be wise to dismiss virtual currencies. Furthermore, Lagarde believes computers will be able to assist governments and other organizations. They will be able to set policies, perform bureaucratic tasks, spot bubbles, and manage other aspects of the financial system. She's talking about the blockchain. When she says computers there, she's talking about blockchain technology. Mainstream awareness and other perspectives. Okay, pay attention to this one. From the mainstream perspective, Lagarde represents a growing number of influential people who recognize the power of Bitcoin and blockchain. However, there are still those who disagree or believe Bitcoin is bound to break. People like Jamie Dimon and Jordan Belfort recently called Bitcoin a fraud. Not to mention China recently banned ICOs and acted to ban some Bitcoin exchanges. However, these comments and actions did not harm Bitcoin. For every negative comment or publicity, there are positive comments and activities. For instance, Japan recently endorsed 11 exchanges and became Asia's dominant Bitcoin hub. The love of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency seems to be accelerating at a greater pace despite significant pushback. So what does all of this mean to you? I know human nature. At the end of the day, the one question we ask is, what's in it for me? What does this mean for me? How can I benefit? Well, it's always good to pay attention to what's going on in the world from a geopolitical standpoint and also from a financial and economic standpoint. Follow the money. Reading is indispensable. You've got to be educated on what's taking place. If this is your first time being exposed to crypto and Bitcoin and you're hearing about it, you might be bored on a Saturday night and saw me with a live pop-up, just want to see what I have to say. Pull up Netflix and watch a documentary called Banking on Bitcoin. The blockchain technology is one of the greatest technologies ever to hit the planet. It's bigger than the internet. It's going to revolutionize everything that we do. It's going to create new industries and businesses that we haven't even thought of yet. As I always say, as my oldest son is in college now, that we're preparing our children for a world that will no longer exist by the time they graduate, for industries and technologies that have not even been invented yet. When I was in college, we didn't have mass access to the internet. We didn't have cell phones that was readily available to everybody. Barely pagers came on the scene. There was no MySpace, there was no Facebook, there was no Amazon, there was no Netflix. There was no iPhone, there was no Samsung Galaxy, there was no tablets. And look at what the world is today and all the industries and businesses that have been created from it. Whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, whether you understand it or not, this is going to happen anyway. You do not want to be a witness to history. You want to be able to take advantage of what's taking place. And less than 0.5% of the American population right now even knows that this is going on. It's going to go to the 1 to 2% range by February of March of 2018. And at that point, that's when this industry is going to explode. Most people won't even realize it until they wake up one morning, they leave their house, and everywhere they go, they see Bitcoin ATM machines. They see stores that have signs that say, "We now accept cryptocurrencies as payments." You'll see people walking around with BitPay cards and making payments with their cryptocurrency debit card that automatically transfers into the US dollar when they make the payment. You're going to be able to buy all goods and services with Bitcoin and even get paid in Bitcoin. This is going to happen with or without you. The reason why I was so excited today, I made more money in the last 24 hours than most people make in a month on their job. And I don't say that to impress you, but to impress upon you. I made a decision about 4.5 months ago that I need to know what this space called cryptocurrency is all about. 3 months of studying before I really took action. 45 days ago, I really took action. And we are exploding right now. So if you're looking for a way to get involved, whether it's to learn what this is all about, to figure out what opportunities you can take advantage of, how to invest your money, how to, make this thing work for you. Get back to whoever has invited you to listen to this live, or sharing it, or however, because there's no such thing as only one way. There's multiple ways. In fact, in this space, you want to have a growing portfolio. Just like the stock market. What does your crypto portfolio look like today? So get back to whoever's showing you this and ask them how to get plugged in. And within 24 hours or so, you can be making a lot of money getting started. I see you, Tanisha. I see you, Vishal. But I want everybody to succeed, because this cryptocurrency space is the greatest transfer of wealth in human history for the most amount of people. Meaning, if you have an internet connection, you can change your life literally within 1 year. That's all it takes. Literally 1 year from now, your life can be radically different by the seeds that you plant now. Tomorrow we begin a 90-day run to the end of the year, to going into 2018. Why wait till December 31st to make your New Year's resolution? Why not do it now, September 30th, and start planting your seeds for the next 3 months to be prepared for 2018? So now you're sprinting into 2018. I've got people on our team that's already positioned to be doing $15,000, $20,000, $40,000 a month going into January 2018. You can as well. Thank you for listening. This is Bitcoin Brandon, Late Night Crypto Talk. If you're just joining us now, you want to go back to the beginning and listen to the recording. God bless you. Have a good evening and a good weekend. Bye-bye. And we're back. Did anybody miss me? It's been 24 hours since we have